I had to delete a video that I did because a lot, as you guys know, have has been going on in the news, and I didn't want in any way for it to either affect what's going on or for these things to affect the video. For me, it's like I'm going back to a time they said they're going to put me in different stages of my life. So this, you guys, I have on a tank top. I'm not going to show you below this point, but I have a tank top, and they were like, oh, every time I bend over, they can see, you know, under my tank top. So I put it like this. But do you guys remember these when we were kids? We used to have these little tight, I have one, but I packed it up. These like little tight like tank top things that had these on top. So the older girls who could hold up a tank top would have like just a tube, not a tank top, a tube top. But for us kids, because we couldn't hold up a tube top, they had these little things. So this is just a tank top that I put a knot in so that if I bend over, they will not always see. They said they didn't want me to have an unfair advantage by having a tank top on in a video. But when I'm looking at it now, it reminds me of being a kid where we had those tube tops with the straps and it was adjustable. And that was something got you guys who grew up with, the same things that I grew up with will understand. So I'm going to, before I get into what they're talking about, I want to talk to you guys. I did a video and I deleted it. So I'm going to do a separate video. So it'll be kind of like I'll tell you guys what I pretty much said in the video, what they said to me in the video, but I'm going to do a separate video for that. So you guys know I normally don't delete, I just upload, but when things like this happen and it just something about it didn't feel right that night when I did the video, then I'm just going to go with how I feel. Okay, so before I get into what they're talking about, I just wanted to talk to you guys about how this was supposed to embarrass me. And when they put it out loud to embarrass me, they use people who clearly don't have any common sense. I used to say they don't have a lot, they have zero common sense. And they're talking about my childhood as though they were children at the time. The reason you can't do that, for obvious reasons, is not just because they aren't me, but they would have been looking at the world as an adult. Like, even this, normally they yell something out, and they didn't yell this out. This is my memory. If they had been in my head like they were supposed to get into my head, then they would have immediately noticed that and recognized, like, yeah, we had that. We had those little tube tops with the straps, and when you were kids, it looked similar to this. Um, the other thing that's important about this is that they said, well, what about the kids who were kids? Well, they weren't me. They were too busy being their own kids. I think they think that, like, when I was growing up, kids could put themselves in the minds of other kids. No, they were too busy being kids. I don't understand. Zero common sense. So when you're a kid, as you guys have all known, you experience certain things, and other people in your age range will experience it, but the older kids don't because they didn't have that same age. They weren't the same age. So when I was a kid, I might look at something from my childhood at the time when I'm a kid and not be able to put myself in the mindset of another kid because I'm a kid. And to think that some other person would then say, I'm going to be a kid, but I'm going to put my head in the mindset of another kid and then give them talking 24/7 is just stupid. I mean, we're at the point of stupidity. So, as you can tell, the people involved in this, they don't like me. I don't like them. I think they're horrible people, horrible humans. And when you deal, for me, with horrible humans, nothing good will come out of that. You can't have two groups that hate each other and have something good come out of it, especially when that's the point. The point was not to make this into a good thing. This was supposed to be a negative thing where people will think I'm suddenly mentally ill and I'm hearing people talking to me that no one else can hear, but it's out loud. So then they switched it from, oh, it's not all out loud. There's a part of this, which is the actual V2K, which is what they tried to explain to me over and over again. That's still out loud, but it's supposed to be going into my head. And I'm telling folks, how can it be out? out and going into my head. It can't be. If again, they hate when I laugh because they know I'm laughing at them. If something is out loud and more than one person can hear it at the same time in the same location, then how can it be in my head? So someone just said, well, also, how can someone else's voice be in my head? But also, how can someone else's completely different opinion be in my head? Something I would never think of. And you've seen me in other videos. I would never think of any of these things. How would it be in my head? It wouldn't be. So once we get past that, I guarantee you, a few minutes from now, we'll be right back on that same thing. It's that's what it is. It's people who have zero common sense, and the people running this take advantage of those people. So now let's get into what they're talking about. When I woke up, they were talking about how no one ever wanted me, nobody cared about me. Didn't want me around, and someone just said something, but she was well taken care of. Exactly. I mean, but that's what they were probably telling me as a child, and they admit that. Let me make sure. They didn't say anything. They admit it. So they keep calling a certain person involved in this the devil. And this person is supposed to be like I don't know. I I I'm wondering, you know, they said something about Bible references. I'm wondering why they would call this certain person the devil and not just give an excuse for that person. I think that's what they said, not just give an excuse for that person. It seems to me they're not talking now. It seems to me that when these people who lack common sense start to talk and talk amongst themselves, it isn't until they realize that what they're talking about and the attacks on me are attacks on other people too. And it isn't until they say it out loud and I guess other people get offended that it's like, oh, we shouldn't have said that. Well,